Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Angela with Angela's Inspired Creations, here to bring you another crafting tutorial. So today what we're going to do is we are going to look at how to cut an HTV design, which is a heat transfer vinyl design, so that we can then put it on a t-shirt. Now for today, what I'm actually working on is a design for a baby bodysuit. And so I will be cutting it and weeding it in this video, and then I will be showing you how to press it onto the baby bodysuit on a heat press, because that is what I use to put my designs on my t-shirts and my baby bodysuits and different various products. Now today's video was requested by a viewer who wanted to know how to take an image, in her case of football, and put it on a t-shirt. So this process would be very similar. Instead of using I'm working on my roar design, you would instead use your football. So for you out there that's watching, just pretend that this is a football. All of the steps are going to be exactly the same. It's just going to be a different design. So hopefully this helps you. I really appreciate you giving me some feedback on other types of tutorials that you would like to see. So keep those coming. Be sure to comment on those down below. So let's get started. I've already put my design here in my Cricut Design Space app. Now I need to figure out what size will I be cutting it to make it fit on my product. So what I will be using is this little baby bodysuit that I have, and I need to figure out what size do I need to cut the design to make it fit in the area. So I'm going to switch over to my other camera so that I can show you how I measure out my designs. Okay, so here I have my baby bodysuit on my crafting table here. And what I use is I just use a sewing measuring tape to figure out the size that I need my design to be. Now, my client wanted the design to be pretty large on the baby bodysuit. So I'm going to go through here. It's about 8 inches wide. I think I want the design to be about 5 inches. So I'm just going to measure out about how large I would like to see that design be, the width. I know that I don't want the design to be any larger than probably 6 inches, because then you're going to have bottoms on the baby, and you don't necessarily want that design to go below the design, below the bottoms. So I want to look at possibly sizing about 5 by 6-ish. Now that I know that I want my design to be about 5 by 6-ish, I'm going to go back and look at my image here on my screen. I want to try and do my width right here up at the top bar. I'm going to change that to 5 and see how tall it will be after I do 5. Now, when I do 5 inches wide, it's still going to end up at 7.5 inches tall. I don't really want 7.5 inches tall, so I'm going to go ahead and do the height at no more than 6. That does change the width to about 3.999, which is basically about 4. Let's just say that. So I'm going to switch back over and see about how wide that would be. So the 4 inches wide, I think, is still going to be plenty large enough for my baby bodysuit here. That's still going to leave some space here on the sides, but that should work out just perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut that at the 4-inch mark. That works for me. So the 4-inch-ish width is going to work just fine. So at this point, I already know I'm ready for my design to go ahead and make it. So I'm going to go over to the Make It. And now my design is listed here on my mat. Now, don't forget, you can move this around if you need to, or say that the piece of HTV you have, maybe you want it to be on there sideways. I could turn it if I want it. You can do whatever you want on this mat. Now, I'm going to just keep it the way it was. Okay. Now, the biggest thing with HTV that you have to remember is that you have to mirror your image on the mat. And that is right over here on the left. You want to make sure that you've clicked that. HTV has to be cut in reverse. And I'm going to show you how we put that material on the mat in just a moment. So I want to make sure that I mirror, okay, and that my material size is correct. I'm only going to need a 12 by 12. I'm not actually even going to use 12 by 12. I'm going to use a piece of scrap that I have that I made sure was more than about 5 inches long. Yay! So I'm going to go ahead and use that. So this is perfect. I have it lined up on my mat. I have the mirror on, and I can go ahead and click continue. It's going to take a second, and then it's going to find my machine. Now it's got my material set to iron on, and I'll show you that in just a second. We always have to make sure that you change your material, and it even gives you the little hint right here. Make sure mirror is turned on and iron on material is face or shiny side down on the mat. So we're going to look at that. So I have my mirror on. I check that and double check that, because if you don't do that, then most of the time you're going to have to throw that piece of HTV away. It's going to go on your shirt backwards, especially if it's something like what we're cutting here that has text on it, and we don't want that. We don't want to have to waste it. HTV is more expensive than just a piece of Oracle 651. It's like quadruple the price. So we want to make sure that we're being very careful and we're using our material wisely. So on this product, because we are using HTV, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to use my blue mat, because my blue mat works best with HTV. Now, my mat is not very sticky anymore. I use it quite a bit. I do wash it with warm water and soap to try and get the gunk off of it, but it still isn't super sticky. And I know people have mentioned ways that you can make your mat sticky again, but I just haven't wanted to do that. Basically, I'm just being lazy. I found a little hack that works instead, so I'm going to show you what I do with that. Okay, so back over here, I'm going to show you how I put my HTV on the mat. Now you're going to see in the camera here how it's very shiny on this side. Okay, now on this other side, it's dull. Now the light, I know, is shining to make it seem bright, but you can see that that's kind of a dull, whereas this side is like, woo, it's got the carrier sheet here. Now, a lot of people think that they have to cut through this carrier sheet, and that's when their HTV is cut properly, but that's not the case. You actually want the carrier sheet to be on there. That's what that shiny is. So we want to put that carrier sheet, that shiny side, we want to put it face down on our mat. Now, I've got a piece of scrap here. I already sized it out to make sure that it was going to fit. And I just smooth it down to make sure that it's on my mat very well. Now, because I know my mat is not very sticky, I use a little hack to make sure that my HTV doesn't move around. I don't know that it will, because my mat I did just wash them recently, but I always worry that it's going to move because it's not super sticky. So I just have some like electrical tape that I got, and I just slice off a piece. Honestly, most of the time I just tear it, but sometimes if your design is very close to the edges, you want a neater, cleaner. Yeah, we're just gonna boop. Okay, so I just use these and I put them in the corner. I know where the design is going to cut, and I knew that I could use a little bit of this corner space here. So I just put some pieces there just to hold it down. When I'm using cardstock, I use tape to hold mine down on my mats when I know that they're not sticky anymore, because I'm just lazy and I'm too cheap to go buy new mats. They're very expensive. So now we're going to go over to the Cricut. Here we are at the Cricut. We want to make sure that our settings are on iron on. Okay, that's going to be your HTV. That's basically iron on material. And I've got that on there right there. You'll see it's blinking. That's telling me that I need to put my mat in. So I'm going to click this button to feed my mat in. And you'll see that it went in evenly. You can always push it back out if you don't think that it grabbed it evenly, and that works just as well. Okay, so then next you're going to click the flashing Cricut button. You'll see that it's flashing. That tells you that it is ready to go. Boop. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and it's going to start cutting my design. And here we go. Now you can see on my screen while it's cutting that it's showing you the percentage that the cut is at. I really appreciate that feature that Cricut has, so that you always know where your design's at. You can kind of keep an eye on it. I sometimes have to walk away if it's a very intricate cut and I know it's going to take a while to go. This one is not going to take quite as long. So once it's done cutting, then I'm going to go ahead and extract it from my Cricut by just clicking that up and down arrow button again on the machine. And then once I do that, I'll be back over at my little weeding station that I have here. Okay, so now my design has finished cutting.
and you can see the cut lines there on the design. I'm going to go ahead and take it off my mat. I tend to just peel these up, and I save them just by putting them off to the side on the side of my desk. I just kind of stick them there until the next time because I'm constantly using those. So I'm going to just peel that off. This is a small piece, so I'm just going to peel it off like that. Sometimes you want to make sure that you peel with the mat peeling away instead of the vinyl peeling away. Now, I'm just going to kind of cut around the edge here so that I can save some of this vinyl for later. I even cut the little pieces off. Be very careful. I almost got my little whisker there. So I even cut the little pieces off because you never know when you need just a small little piece of black or whatever color. And so I just cut those off and I put those in my drawer. I use the little light thing because it helps show my cut lines. I also have a light here, which I'm going to put down a little bit further to try and help you see my cut lines here in my video. All right, I think that's going to be about as best as I can do with my light overhead so that the video is bright. Now, I'll link this down below if you want to take a look at this one. I think it was around $20. I got it for Christmas, but I'll link that down below. As well as the vinyl that I'm using. I use Sizer HTV. I get it from 651vinyl.com. They are the best price that I've found so far. I really like their customer service as well. Speaking of that, what I use to weed my designs, which is taking the excess off that I don't need on the design, what's not going to actually show up on my picture. So I'm going to weed out the bad stuff. I use this pen weeding tool, which I also got from 651 Vinyl. For me, I found this, I use the Cricut tools when I'm doing paper more often, but this is great when you're doing vinyl because it clicks up like a pen and it's got that little needle there. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm going to click that down. And now what I'm going to do is I usually start with the outside and I just peel up any excess that I don't need. So I start with the outside. Obviously I don't want all this outside stuff. And I tend to go kind of quickly because I'm just used to peeling the vinyl up. You just got to be careful around those little pieces so you don't accidentally peel them up. And then when I find a little spot that I need to help, I just go ahead and stick my little pin in again and up and around. I find HTV to be super easy to weed. It's way easier in my opinion than Oracle most of the time. And then I have a little thing I keep on my desk that I can just put my scraps in and then I empty it whenever it gets full. Oops. Okay. So now I'm going to be weeding out the letters because those are going to be blank because they're going to show through the gray on my design. So in my design, the letters are actually going to be gray because they're going to show through the color of the baby bodysuit. So I'm just going to peel up all those. Make sure you don't peel off the center pieces of the letters. Oops, which I almost just did because I'm standing. Oh, I hate when that happens. So every once in a while, if you have these small letters, you'll see that they try to peel up the little, and I think I flipped it. Oops. So now I got to fix that. I believe that it's going to be like that. I think it matches the shine now. So I just kind of peel that back. Sometimes, I mean, that's what makes things homemade. So I'm just going to go ahead and peel this up. Ta-da! Okay, so now as you can see, I finished weeding my design and it's backwards. And that's okay because what's going to happen is when I put my baby bodysuit down here, this would go, the sticky side is back here, it would go down just like this. Ta-da! So that's what my design is actually going to look like. I use a heat press to put my designs on, and I'm going to show you how to actually press a design in my next video. So keep an eye out for that.
So that was it, guys. That's all you have to do to cut your design. And then in the next video, we are going to talk about how to use a heat press to press our design. So I hope you will check out that video once it's posted. Thanks for stopping by my channel and checking out my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. If you'd like to see more tutorials in the future, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. The little bell, if you click it, it will send you a notification when I post my next video. I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Angela signing out. Bye guys.